for the dead is in by itself is okay. One may do so. Asking Allah's forgiveness for this person who has died, etc. But where it becomes a ritual, yarhamukallah, where it becomes a ritual, after prayers regularly, people are asking, and this is just a standard practice, then we have now innovation here. We have a kind of innovation.
So it's okay to do it Saturday?
On occasion, if somebody asks, the Imam, it's just like asking somebody to pray for you, and they make a dua, and when they finish making the dua, you say, Ameen, for example. May Allah, Ameen meaning, may Allah accept it. Pardon? Okay. The evil of what Allah has created. Now, when Allah created the fish spine, in the fish it's got a backbone with these like spines on it, right? That backbone with the spines in the fish was a good thing. It kept the fish's body together so he could swim in the water, etc. Now, if that spine, any of the pieces of that spine, we call it a fish bone, if that sticks in your throat, that's an evil thing. Relative to yourself, that becomes an evil thing. So there's evil coming out of what Allah has created in that context. You understand? So we're not saying Allah created this to harm you, but harm may come out of it. Or rain. Rain is a good thing. But sometimes rain becomes a terrible thing. Right? So there's this harm which comes out of rain, but is rain in and of itself evil? No. Yeah, okay, this is another example of, in our lives, the issue of evil with good intent is that of the dentist injecting in your gums Novocaine or whatever. It is something painful. The needle is so long you can feel it tickling your toes, right? Nobody likes the dentist needle. But we subject ourselves to it on a regular basis to prevent greater harm, which is the rotting of our teeth and the root canals and everything else. So that evil, what appears to us external of that circumstance to be something evil, is in fact something good for us. It may be a relative thing, for example, where I remember one occasion seeing a picture in the newspaper, I cut it out, where they had this Egyptian brother, and it had on one side his sister was kissing him on one cheek, and his father was kissing him on the other cheek. And he had this huge smile from ear to ear, his thumbs were up like this. And I read the caption, what was it? What had happened was, he was supposed to catch a particular flight, the Gulf Air flight, last year, which was going to Bahrain. Now this air flight crashed in the sea. When he had gone to the airport to catch his flight, he was refused the right to go on that flight because he was missing a stamp on his passport. And in Egypt, you have to have 1,000 stamps before you can do anything, right? Yeah, so many people have to stamp. So he had gotten all his stamps except for one stamp. And there he was at the airport, one stamp missing, they wouldn't allow him. Of course, his whole world was falling apart around him because he was a teacher. It was a flight of teachers. They were going back, the beginning of the new term, he had to go back and teach. So to come back late, maybe they will fire him, they're going to take off pay or whatever. He was terrible. His world crashed around him. He was begging, screaming, please. No, flight took off. Then he heard the flight crashed. And everybody on board died. So there he was in the Newspaper the next day, big smile on his face. That which he thought was such a terrible calamity the day before was now fortune, good fortune for him. So in that relative sense, though it was evil, in the sense of what happened to the other people, for that individual, it was good.